coach the service providers who might be here, some of the things that they can do differently or better to be a really good value for money service provider to you and your groups?
My first call to action for service providers is when you come to us, don't come to us with how you can help us. Come to us with how we can help you. Many of you have reconciliation action plans. Within that are strategic objectives that you've set, that when you're engaging with a corporation, we can actually help you achieve the goals that you've set yourselves out for. So I think it's definitely rewarding both ways. Also, I'd like to say, specifically in the Pilbara, on a negative, is one of the things that I have seen when our members are going to use a service provider or to purchase something from a business. The first thing that they are asked is, are you a member of an Aboriginal trust? The minute they say yes, the price doubles. That's disgusting. It should be about creating long-term relationships and with your corporations rather than a quick win. And just letting you know, the Bush Telegraph works fast, especially in the Pilbara. We all know each other somehow. So it's just being open and honest, treating the corporation with the same values and respect in which you wish to be treated.
Yeah, for me, definitely agree with all of that. It's really, I guess, any business, Indigenous corporation or not, it's about that respectful, it's about relationship now, because, it's the old thing about if you rip us off, don't think that we don't know. Of course we know. Guess what? I'm going to tell 10 other people. It's about that respectful, we're looking for respectful, long-term relationships where there's that mutual benefit to both organisations, and I suppose that deep relationship as well. I think the banks call it stickiness. They try and get you to sign up to 5 different accounts and you never leave them. So there's a hint. Get involved in a range of things, both from a pure business perspective, but also from a philanthropic perspective, from a relationship perspective, from a cultural competence and RAP perspective. But there's ways of getting deeply involved, and then it's a long-lasting. The other side of that is also not to get complacent. Just because as a service provider you're with someone for a long time, don't think we're not looking around. Of course we are. And you may not hear anything, because may not always articulate back that we're not happy. So be on the toes and don't be complacent, and lots of communication.
I think they've said it all, really. It's got to be a meaningful engagement, and that's where we start down here. And there's been a big shift across the metro area about how that operates, and industry are really buying into that, and so are government agencies. It's really been a breath of fresh air for what I see. In the early days, we would get an update into our working parties, the Wajak working party, for example. The facility's already built. The whole thing's been done, and we'd like a welcome to country. Well, that's completely changed. It's been turned on its head. Now we are, as far as the Perth Stadium goes, we've been engaged from day one on that process. Yagan Square from day one, Scarborough Development from day one. So these things, that has been a significant change for us. And I think Ben White was a part of the opening of the celebration down at the stadium. And we've been needling him to say this is the way we need to do business, and he agrees with that. He agrees that when an opportunity or a project is happening on Noongar country, we need to talk to the Noongars first from those regions. It's incredibly important, and I've seen that change, and like I said, it's a breath of fresh air.
I'd agree. I mean, when the mining boom started and a lot of, again, the Pilbara Aboriginal communities were receiving benefits from the royalties, it was like swatting flies as far as the number of consultants and service providers who were coming with, have I got a deal for you, who were cookie cutting proposals from group to group to group. Now, I'd really like to think that now with the sharpness and the scrutiny of what does value for money look like, that is also changing. The other interesting conversation that's happening, especially in the Pilbara, is this concept of an Aboriginal economy. How the Aboriginal communities can band together to provide services for their own, not being as dependent on corporates or non-Aboriginal, and acknowledging the skill set that they have to be able to do that now.
I think that's a key point, because within all our planning, we've got different layers of relationships. And the one that's really important to us is the Noongar to Noongar relationship. And the opportunities around that is enormous for our mob to be able to influence and impact on things that they are intimate with, right on the ground in the regions. That's super important. I think overall though, service providers are caught in a space of a system, and that system just keeps perpetuating. It's like a ball of wool, just gets bigger and bigger. But effectively, there has to be some change somewhere, because you've got to draw a line on Aboriginal people in a disadvantaged space and service providers assisting to take them out of that disadvantage, but not really achieving it. Mm. So the effect of that is the system is self-serving, it serves each other. So there's got to be a break in that somewhere. And that's really, for me, it's got to be about, in our case, it's about Noongars for Noongars. By the way, I don't just have connection to Noongars, I've got connections to Wongais on Minjabundi as well. And I've also got connections to Jahna and the Kimberley. The funny thing about our story, just quickly, is that my grandparents were taken to Moore River, and one from Minjabundi country and one from the south, or from Kalamunda, because my grandfather was born in Kalamunda. They met there, they married there, and they was trying to decide on where they should live. And in the end, they said, let's live halfway. So ancestrally, we're all born in the Geraldton region, in the Midwest, but we have no apical ancestry to that region, which is really incredible. It's everywhere else across the state, except for where we were actually born. So we can think about that as policies of the past, but actually it gave us, our family, greater connection across the state.
Very cool.